Well, it seems like ESPN's Paul Feinbaum can't get enough of hating on Deion Sanders. This time, he goes on record to say Deion Sanders is gaslighting because he came in defense of his players and these college kids that are doing these NIL deals. But before we get off into today's podcast, tell a friend to tell a friend. Well, man, the hate for Deion Sanders in these streets is real. Now, ever since Deion Sanders has taken over the Colorado Buffaloes, ain't nothing but hate, going his way. You got the likes of Danny Cannell, you got the likes of Jason Whitlock, these media pundits, Paul Feinbaum, the list goes on, man. And they've been hating on Deion Sanders ever since he took over the Colorado Buffalo's coaching job. Now, we covered a story probably about a month back about Sean Keeler from the Denver Post going on record and chastising and attacking some of the players on the Colorado Buffaloes. He has called out Shedeur Sanders. He's called out Shiloh Sanders, Travis Hunter, and some other players he's called out. And there's receipts of him calling these players out. And Deion Sanders was at his pregame press conference ahead of the Baylor game, and they was asking Deion some questions, and he responded to the media pundits on how these guys are treating these college athletes, and they've been on attack. And Deion was standing on business just to come in defense of some of his college athletes and some of his, players that are on his team. So what happened? Paul Feinbaum has been hating on Deion Sanders for the longest. He's one of Deion Sanders' heavy critics. And Paul Feinbaum, he will kind of throw a subtle jab in there, and at the same time, he will give Deion high praise. Now, you know what Paul Feinbaum said about Deion coming into the season, that, Colorado is irrelevant. And Deion responded to him and said, a fan only blows when you're hot. If we are irrelevant, why are you talking about us? And he subtly put Paul Feinbaum in his place. Now, Paul Feinbaum takes issues to what Deion Sanders said about this media personnel attacking these college kids. He didn't say all media personnel. He said some of you guys. And Paul Feinbaum took exception to that. So Paul Feinbaum went on to First Take with Stephen A. Smith, Mad Dog Russo, and Molly Curran. And he kind of tried to say that Deion Sanders was gaslighting over his comments that he made about, protecting and coming to defense of the media going after these college kids on the attack mode. So I'm going to play for you what Deion Sanders said, and that's going to be followed up by Paul Feinbaum's comments. And then Stephen A. respectfully steps in and tells Paul Feinbaum, I disagree with you respectfully, but some of your points may be valid. So let's take a listen to how that all transpired, the way he said Deion Sanders was gaslighting. But what Deion Sanders said makes a lot of sense, because some of these college kids are getting these NIL deals and they're getting more money than these media pundits. And Deion Sanders think that the reason why they're being attacked is because they're jealous. Now let's take a listen to how all that unfolded.
Part of the time, you guys never attacked college players. Now they're making more money than y'all. And some of y'all are envious and jealous about that. So you're on the attack. It was hands off a college player because he's an amateur. Remember that, guys? Now it's hands on. Go at them any kind of way you want. They're making more money than me, and I'm mad about it. I'm upset about it. And when you attack them,
They only here to cause confusion.
They've never been attacked. Most of them are out of high school or 2 years or 3 years in college, but they're still sensitive to slander. They hadn't gone through what I've been going through with y'all for years. They haven't done that. So it is what it is. I know you're going to do your job and what you must do, but your job does not say attack. Like, if they didn't play well, leave it at that. But the personal stuff, leave it to be personal. Because if we start flipping the script on y'all, you wouldn't like it. I can easy. Thank you, Lord, for stopping me there. Whoo, that was almost a good one. That would have went viral.
Paul Finebaum joining us now. Paul, good morning. Thank you for being
They
with us.
only here to cause confusion.
And Paul, I want to start with you on this one. Good morning. Are these comments fair or foul by Coach Prime?
No. Deion right there was purely gaslighting, and it really unbecoming of somebody of his stature and status. He knows that's not true. The people that cover college football have been arguing vociferously for years to get more autonomy for players so they can make more money, so they can't be treated the same way that they always have. And for him to say that is just really specious. It's baseless.
Is one of the biggest haters
and quite
of Deion
frankly,
Sanders
it looks to me like he is living in an alternative universe, because that is simply not true. And to use the word slander, I mean, that is so far beyond the pale, because most people, the majority of the media, lifts these players up. They don't tear them down. Quite frankly, the only player on his team that has even come under scrutiny is his son, Deion Sanders.
Paul.
And right here on this program, 24 hours ago, the entire panel, Stephen A., myself, and Shannon, defended him for not shaking hands with a player who was trash-talking him. So I frankly don't have any earthly idea where he came up with it. I think it's desperation, and it's entirely spineless of him to attack the media, who has not even attacked his players.
Paul, I'm going to respectfully disagree with you. I think it's a bit extreme
They only
for
here
you
to
to
cause
say that he
confusion.
was gaslighting. I don't think that's true. There are some points that you have made that are damn right accurate, and I will get to that in a second. But when you listen to what Deion said, he said some of y'all. He didn't say everybody. There's always some of us that get a bit personal. There's always some of us. There's bad apples in every industry, as they say. Folks who cross the line,
They only here
who
to
go
cause
beyond
confusion.
the pale, who are a bit excessive, unfair, etc., etc. He didn't say everybody. He said some.
Thank you, Stephen
I think
A.
he's accurate about that.
Now, you see what happened. You see what Paul Finebaum said about attacking media personnel. He was in reference to the CBS guy, Denver Post, with Sean Keeley, when Deion refused to talk to CBS and refused to do an interview with Sean Keeley because of all the things Sean Keeley has said about Deion Sanders personally and Shedeur Sanders personally, Travis Hunter, and Shiloh. So there's receipts out there of Sean Keeley saying this about these Colorado players. It's not just them three, it's more. There's receipts out there. So Paul Finebaum, you was capping, because that's what Deion Sanders really was alluding to. The situation between him and Sean Keeley and CBS. Now you go on First Take and you say he's gaslighting. And what Stephen A. Smith do? Stephen A. put you in your place because you're over the top. See, that's what Paul Finebaum does. He takes anything and he finds anything to hate on Deion Sanders. And it's ridiculous, man. All this hate for Deion Sanders, and Deion Sanders made a great point. And then Stephen A. made a great point too, because Stephen A. said there are some that get personal, go on personal attacks. And that's what I've always been saying. You can critique a coach, you can critique a player, but when you start taking personal digs at these individuals, that's when you cross the line. So I'm glad that Stephen A., stood up, stood on business, and came to the defense of Deion Sanders, because Paul Finebaum, he will take a narrative and he will run with it. almost like Skip Bayless. So you guys let me know what y'all think down in the comments section. Was Paul Findbaum right about Deion Sanders gaslighting? And was Stephen A. Smith right to check him on that? And what do you think about Deion Sanders' comments? And this is going to wrap up another episode of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K-Sap. We're going to catch you on the next one. Deuces. And remember, on your way out the door before you put your shoes on, do me a favor. Give this video a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button. Post your comments, share the video out. Make sure you got your post notifications on so you know every time Simply Ball Dropping drops another hot banger.
Thanks for listening to the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share on all major platforms.
That's all, folks.